Unfortunately, I'll never ride the Nemo and Friends ride again until Disney fixes this problem. This ride used to be one of my favorites because it was calm and was relaxing, but not anymore. This is what happened when we rode Nemo and Friends with my Transformer 2 mobility scooter.
So when we approached Nemo and Friends, it looked like any other ride to us. The cast members were directing people, and they didn't appear to be giving mobility users any particular direction. They just sent us through the regular queue line. Okay, we trusted them, and so that's what we did. And as we came into the first queue room, it was nice and cool, but we were faced with a huge room full of switchbacks. Think going back and forth and having to take our mobility scooter around tight turns. Unfortunately, we'd only gotten about 3, maybe 4 switchbacks in, and a large group came in behind us.
And when that large group came in behind us, they caught up very quickly with us, and there was nowhere for me to pull over to get out of the line to let them go around me. And they were stacking up behind me, and just instantaneously I felt a whole lot of pressure because I could tell that people were getting frustrated at me having to back up and go around and back up and go around, and it was just immediate anxiety and just this feeling of holding everybody else up.
By the time we got to the second queue room, people were getting a little antsy. One of the nice guests behind us tried to change the queue line so that we didn't have to go through so many switchbacks. Unfortunately, the queue barriers were actually just pivots. They weren't like where you could undo a rope and pass through. Literally the whole line would pivot. So we went through the opening, and that put us actually facing the wrong direction with the crowd coming toward us. And we ended up having to back up the line and back into a switchback corner so that we could get turned around. It was basically a 4 or 5 point turn. Toward the end of that room, there was a cast member that was watching over the room, but they just stayed at their station. It didn't appear that they noticed. We can't say whether they did or didn't, but they just stood there, no help given. They certainly saw us trying to navigate the switchbacks as we passed them, but they didn't offer any help.
Finally, we caught up to the group that was in front of us, but we have still been navigating these tight spaces just like the little engine that could, slowly. Finally, a cast member pulled me out of the line and sent me through a bypass to the pavilion center. It was basically right in front of where the aquarium is.
Once we were to the pavilion, there was another cast member there who verified that we could transfer and get on the ride just fine, and we didn't have to stay on the scooter. And that was fine. They were friendly. They didn't know anything that had gone on it before this time. But here we are in the center of the pavilion, or the pavilion center, unloading off of our scooter, and then they send us back through another doorway. It basically led to the loading area. The question became, why didn't they just send us there to begin with? Why didn't the cast members up front at the beginning of the ride, rather than directing us through the queue, send us around through the gift shop and into the pavilion area so that we could have just loaded right there? The ride itself was fine. It ran flawlessly. There was no stops. It was easy enough to get on and get off, nothing unexpected. And when we got done, the scooter was parked at the exit. So we literally just got off, and there was our scooter near the end of the belt.
They should model this queue line situation after what was in place at Buzz Lightyear. Since late last year, instead of having their scooters and wheelchairs go through the main queue line to get onto the ride vehicles through a moving beltway, they have sent us around to the back of the ride and put us in a different entrance. They should just do the same thing here, and I don't know why they're not. From a practicality standpoint, this queue is not designed for mobility scooters, wheelchairs, or even walkers, and there's already a better path available. From an emotional standpoint, what was once a very peaceful, cool break from the heat became high pressure, stressful, and mentally exhausting. And the bottom line is that I'll just be skipping this ride until Disney fixes this accessibility issue.
You guys together?
Yep.